What's going on, family? This is Tayler Jacobs with my brothers, founders of BWO, on our very first BWO podcast. And we wanted to bring you all into our world so that you can kind of hear about some of the things that we're working on, some processes that we're dealing with, some insights that we want you to know so that you can be able to download it and know what to focus on going forward, moving forward. And we wanted to update you on some changes that are happening as we speak so that you all can stay abreast to what's going on.
My name is Brother Ben X, co-founder of the BWO program. What I do is teach the digital real estate program, which shows you how to scale your business, build your brand, and create content and grow through content marketing.
Peace, family. I'm 19 Keys.
There's always one.
Yeah. Co-founder with my good brothers of the BWO, this beautiful organization that we have here. I teach a multitude of different things, specifically into mindset, but going into depth of disruptive technologies and making sure our people mindsets are updated on the current time so that we don't get left behind as slaves to industries and owners.
Chris Cole, president, co-founder of BWO. My main contribution and value add to this is teaching people risk and wealth management strategies and really putting our people in a position to understand the mandatory mindset that's required in order to shift our personal, our families, our communities' financial trajectory.
One of the things that I would like for us to explain, there's been a lot of questions about the name BWO, what it means, and Brother Chris did a great job at kind of explaining to us as we was dialoguing the meaning of it. Like, we're not getting away from Black World Order, like that's still what it is, but the building wealth opportunities, there's a reason for that. So I know everybody been DMing me and of course in the Discord about, you know, the name change, or y'all going away from it, is it still this, what does this mean? So can you go into you know, the meaning of the change?
Yeah. So when I don't like to use the word change as much as it is a progression or a focal point of what it is that we're doing. At the end of the day, it's still Black World Order. Our company is still Black World Order LLC. But for far too long, all we've had as a group of people is just thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, and no understanding, no blueprint, no roadmap on how to execute those things. We set out and formed BWO and said, our main mission was to close the wealth gap to ensure that we had wealth by year 2053. Right. Black folks, we never had no trouble getting money, even in 2053. Even if we don't adopt the mindset required to close the wealth gap, guess what? It's still going to be a lot of us around here still getting money. You understand what I'm saying? So if we look at the numbers and we look at the statistics, we understand that it's not our ability or inability to get money or earn money, but it's our inability to pass that money down to the next generation. It's our inability to set our grandchildren up so they don't have to deal with the same financial travesties, adversities, and hurdles that we dealing with, right? And quite simply, it boils down to us not having an understanding of how to empower and employ our money. In a wealth standard I taught, I say money is the evidence of the transfer of energy, right? So if money is the evidence of the transfer of energy, somebody got to possess it already in the first place. Who possessed that energy? Each and every one of us in here, everybody who's taking a look at the camera, you are the money, right? And money has long been taboo in our community. Most of our parents ain't grow up teaching us about money because they ain't know nothing about money, right? And even us who have found our way to, make some money, most of us, we spend it on things that has no opportunity to bring us back anything in return, and that's because of how we've been educated and how we've been indoctrinated. And I think not think. I know what we have collectively amongst us for is an understanding that something has to be different outside of us just operating in our feelings and emotions as it pertains to being black in America. But we tend to focus on the white man, what he do, what he don't do, X, Y, and Z, and we don't place enough emphasis on doing the things that we have control over, right? And that's our mindset, our ability to increase or grow our knowledge, you know what I'm saying, enhance the skill sets that we have that'll put us in a better financial position. I tell people all the time, like, I don't care if you're from the hood or in the White House, you can't go to war without money, you understand me? So all this change that we talk about and we want to see, if we don't have our money and our finances in our pockets together, we ain't doing nothing but gonna be woofing for another 400 years. You understand what I'm saying? So, with bridging wealth opportunities, I think it is a very fitting name, because what we teach is teaching people how to bridge wealth opportunities. Most of us we don't even recognize an opportunity if it slapped us right in our face.
Facts.
We'll get angry and upset about it, and we'll try to fight the opportunity, right? Or call it a scam, or call it some BS. You understand what I'm saying? While we'll go spend $1,000 on a new pair of shoes, $2,000 on a purse, go blow $1,000, $1,500 in the mall, right? and really, to me, it speaks to how we don't value ourselves. If we want to be all the way real about it, at some level, a lot of us don't even feel like we deserve money. But at the end of the day, if we don't feel like we deserve money, we're sending a message that you don't even deserve you as a human being. You don't even value you, because it's your energy that you're getting paid for. Right? So when we start talking about bridging wealth opportunities, in a nutshell, we talking about taking the energy that you already possess and how you can harness it and distribute it that's going to benefit you, your family, your community, and everything around you. Because far too long, we've allowed others or them to harness our energy and use it in a way that benefited them and did nothing but take from us.
That's a fact.
And I think that
Well, I'm glad I don't have to do stuff like that no more. That's the type of job I used to have. Working with machines, working with physical labor. Now I make money off using my mind. You ever thought about AT&T, your insurance bill and your light bill? You pay that bill on a monthly basis. So yeah, your light bill may be $60 or $90, $100, whatever the case may be. But imagine that same company is getting paid off for hundreds of thousands of people. If you had a product for $50 and you sold it to 1,000 people every month for $50, that's $50,000 a month. I want to help you all develop different products, different services to make money anywhere online, as long as you got signal and Wi-Fi. If you click the link below, I've developed an ebook. It's called 50 Ways to Make Money Online. I want to help you out. See you on the other side.
I think that we talk about Black World Order and we talk about bridging wealth opportunities. I think that us as a unit being identified as Black World Order, it's so many things that we got to get in order. Not just wealth. You're talking about fitness. You're talking about health. You're talking about relationally. You're talking about family. So the substance of who we are, which is why it's still Black World Order. But the focal point, as you were saying, is right now we need to focus on the wealth.
Yeah.
Then we can focus on the health. Then we can focus on the family. Then we can focus on the structure. And before you look at it, everybody in every household that looks like us will have their Black World in order, and we've done our true initiative. So for me, us being Black World Order, the Bridging Wealth Opportunity is just an initiative of Black World Order. Our focal point right now is to bridge these wealth opportunities like NFT Keys always brings to the people. It's to bridge these wealth opportunities of understanding digital real estate, bridging wealth opportunities of understanding trading, bridging wealth opportunities of understanding private banking and insurance. Now that you have those things in order, the next phase of Black World Order, now where's your family? What's your family looking like? You know, what's the structure of your family? Who's going to be head of that household? Right. You know, it can't be two heads. The father, the son got to lead it. And whoever got to lead, everybody got to kind of follow suit and be supportive. Now you begin to bridge and build that community behind them. What businesses are you going to have in place? What are these things that you're going to have? Trust and wills and all these things to ensure that the family, that bridging, that wealth that was just bridged to your family, now you can keep it in your family. Now you go from the family, now what's our health looking like? Because what good is health? Right. What good is wealth if you don't have no health to be able to sustain? If everybody dying at 50, what good is
or even just the basics. You know, last year when we was teaching wealth standard, and Keys can get a rundown of this, but you know, one of the things that I know he talked about is, and he constantly pushed, was every family need a trader. Yeah. Every family need a life insurance policy. Agreed. You understand what I'm saying? So these things got to be in place before we just get out here rah-rah in the streets and we mad because guess what? Just last week, in the midst of George Floyd trial, we get another black man killed by the police officer. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? We get another man of color who serves our country get pepper sprayed in uniform by a police officer. And guess what? We take the Instagram, we take the Twitter, we go to protesting and different things of that nature. But guess what? Year after year, month after month, day after day, we experiencing the same shit. We still have not established any type of order to the order.
You know, during the trial or during the day George Floyd was killed, I got a message, you know what I mean, from Allah, from spirit, whatever you want to call it. You understand me, on how we symbolize, you know, divine intelligence. And it told me to go inspire the people. And I thought I was already being inspired. I thought I was doing it. You know what I'm saying? And so I didn't understand the message. I'm like, that's the message? That was it? And then I said, you know what? It don't matter. Just listen. And so I became obedient to the message. And as I went out there and I was working, I understand why. Because, you know, we are people that's always traumatized and it leaves us dead, constantly reliving our past. You know, anger creates more anger. You understand me? Frustration, more frustration. It doesn't produce change. Dissatisfaction produces change. Right. You have to be dissatisfied with your current condition to produce a new one, to work towards a new one. Yeah. And so I look at Black World Order as the what and bridging wealth opportunities as the how, right? And when we talk about a bridge, we look at the 2053 wealth gap and this analysis of our habits and where we're leading towards, which is 0% wealth. Mm-hmm. The distance between your goal and where you are is your ignorance and your execution, right? So after the inspiration comes the education, right? So it's a natural progression that the people are inspired, and they got inspired by seeing you do the work yourself. Now you're teaching them how to do for self. And so the education component that we teach becomes the bridge that allows them to understand, okay, digital real estate is something that's in your face every day. That's opportunity. But if you don't have the knowledge, don't speak the language, don't have the education, then you may be on your phone every day missing the opportunities to bridge your wealth opportunities. Right? The same thing with trading. You may see crypto going up every day. You may hear about the stock market rallying. You may hear about it going down, but you don't have the education on how to bridge your wealth opportunities. You understand me? You may understand that, oh, there's two main ways to build wealth, life insurance and real estate, but you don't know life insurance. Not from a business component. Yeah. You don't know how to, okay, I'm the leader in my family. I'm the one who's doing it, but you don't know how to structure them. Yeah. You have the drive, but you don't have the how.
Shit, hell,
you understand me? Yeah, don't know real estate either. You understand me? And those is why we're so far from where we need to be. You understand me? It's because of our ignorance. And it's because of our dedication to our ignorance that we don't realize that we have. That we're dedicated to our ignorance. Yeah. And the way that we react has been systematically designed for us to react in an impoverished way that produces no change, produces no wealth, and the wealth can be understood from how we have the opportunity to take our investments, to afford our education, to build our families. Because in time territory, right, men project their ideas onto paper, they plan, and then they control the future because they project themselves forward. I want to control the next 10, 20, 30 years. The idea of this 2053 wealth plan is so that we can project an idea that our people can see, feel. You understand? It becomes a desire, so they work towards that outcome. And without them having that desire, then they think about, yo, what's the future gonna be? And then you start thinking about other men's ideas instead of you having your own control in that. So teaching our people how to be the investors, how to have the skill sets, the expertise, how to control and own industries, and how to take opportunities of the now so we can control our own future is exactly what we're supposed to be doing in this time. That's the natural progression.
Absolutely. And you know, when we talk about wealth, let it be understood that it's not just about dollars and cents. We're talking about the things, the three things that God put all of us here with. When we came out of our mother, he gave us the time that we have here on this realm, our minds, and our vessels. Yep. So when we talk about building wealth, we're talking about having absolute control over how you spend your time, the things that you expose your mind to, and the things that you put inside and feed your vessel, right? So again, wealth is taking advantage of the opportunities now, and as you say, projecting out into the future where the opportunities now, I can seize them and I can deploy them in a way that's going to benefit my grandchildren, right? It ain't just about passing them $1 million, $2 million, or whatever the case might be. How can I harness my energy and project my energy out into the future, right? That's going to benefit my grandchildren or my great grandchildren.
Legacy.
Right. And when we talk about a bridge, I got a picture of a bridge there. What is a bridge? A bridge connects two things that was not formally connected to one another.
That's right.
So if we can identify the things that we aren't connected to, now we can start progressing and building a bridge to connect 2 points that was previously not connected.
And that goes to institutions.
Absolutely.
Institutions are the tools that men use to bridge their power into the future. The institutions of school, you understand me? We get indoctrinated to work for another group of people so that their power can progress.
Yep.
The institution of politics, we get indoctrinated into the government circuit so we can vote for other people in power over us. You understand me? Whether it's the health institutions, whatever it may be, if we don't create our own, we have no rulership.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that, you know, it's just, as you said, focal point. It gets to the focus. You understand me? Okay, this is what we want you to focus on because, you know, without the wealth, you can't do any of those things.
No.
Yeah.
You can't take advantage of the investments we teach you about. You can't take it. You don't have time for the education. You understand me? And as we talk about wealth, and I've been focusing so much on time because I understand how important for people to understand what time is. You understand me? And what time it is. You know what I mean? And to be in time and on time is very important. I've been taught that since I was a child in the nation, is that you have to be in time and on time. And we have to understand that the times we're living in is our time. But it can only be our time if we take advantage of it. We stop living on a false time and we start living on a family time.
Right.
You understand me? White supremacy has one symbol, and that's the white male. That's the symbol of white supremacy, not the white woman, not nothing. If she doesn't have a boy, she doesn't represent the symbol of power for her family. So she doesn't have value. That's their time, right? White supremacy overview, if you go through our history. Our time, our world looks like black family, black man, woman, child. That's the institution that we use to build power, to own our own world. And their institution is to keep ours down, right? Our institution is to make sure that that's no longer the symbol over our world so that we can grow and do for self.
Or think about the dynamics of this. Which they have effectively done ever since slavery is they have dissected and individualized the black family. If I can dissect and individualize anything, guess what? They can no longer operate collectively. They can no longer come together and produce collectively.
Facts.
Right? But I can pick and choose any one of these individuals and plug them in or use them in any way that I need to because they're not operating from a collective mentality.
Facts.
They're not operating from a collective order. Guess what? And think about this from a psychological standpoint. The black father, he gets incarcerated for whatever because he get caught with 15 pounds a week. I was telling somebody that the other day. When I was coming up, I got homeboys who's getting 10, 15, 20, 30 years for weed.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Whole father figures, generations that was gone because of marijuana, right? So I take the black man out of the home the child is upset, the mother is upset,
Right.
right? Full of feelings and emotions and different things of that nature, but no change has taken place because why? They were never operating as a collective anyway. They was just staying under one roof.
Right.
Now I can pit each one of these together at any given point that I want to.
And I mean, that came because at the 1865 they told us we was free, but and I always say, if you can't be free by someone else telling you. It has to be something you take for yourself. But also, once you just say, hey, y'all can go live on your own now, they still have your shackles of your mindset and
Absolutely.
your institutions that cover them and your rules. Like the Constitution itself, I think I was looking at, they said that we the only country that still uses such an outdated piece Constitution that hasn't been updated the way it has been. Like from hundreds of years ago, it
Right.
still rules over us today. And that was specifically designed you can pinpoint the Norman family starting in 9/11, the year 9/11, to where he wanted to continue the European ideology and institutions rather than physical brute force. They created Magna Cartas and constitutions and ways to control land and people through documentation. Them subscribing to someone else's idea and that controlling your families for years and years and years to come. And we don't even think about controlling ourselves.
And so when I think about documentation, right? There's like these two separate worlds. One world is, well, if I don't address the documentation, I don't have to see it. We are natural men. However, if you want to get that control, my grandfather told me, he said, son, you can't create your own world until you know how to master the world that you're in. And so for me, getting trust, getting wills, getting documentation. So if this is the game that we in this documentation world, like you were just bringing up, and it's very important that you brought that up because a lot of us forget that we're still living in the same system that we're trying to fight against.
Absolutely.
So versus just trying to fight against it, which opposition I think is important for them to know that we just ain't gonna lay down. But I think it's also just as important, which is why Black World Order is important, because you got to understand the importance of documentation and understanding their legal laws and their rules. Because they created rules, they created laws that gave them wiggle room to give them free will, free reign to be able to operate like a free man within these documentation, these laws. So the man that doesn't know the laws or documentation, you're subject to the words on the paper. But the people who know the laws and the documentation, you're operating as a free man. You're just learning how to use their laws and their legal forms and their documentation to your benefit as a tool versus something that is that's capturing us or keeping us captive. And so I think the very first thing you talk about bridging wealth opportunity, you talk about for the Black World Order, is that for families to really get to understand these laws and these rules and these documentations, understand the importance of operating outside of corporations, and then putting your corporation or your assets and making your trust the lien holder of all your assets. So now your business gets the write-off, and then your trust is the lien holder of your assets. So if something were to happen to you, the lien holder gets all of the assets. And there's a couple of ways that you can play it like that. Understanding and looking at, okay, Jeff Bezos ran a multi-billion-dollar company, but they got a tax return of more than $250 million. So is the name of the game profits? Is it writing off losses? Is understand these things and moving
again,
like that?
I like to always go back and address history. And if we look at America, when America came free and understanding that even in 2021, we still bow down to England. Every lawyer that takes the bar, still their first commitment is to the courts of England before it is their clients or even the United States. And if we look at the United States of America, the corporation, it's really plain and simple. If you go and solicit a business, what are you? You are a client or a customer. And that business treats you however they want to treat you based on whatever exchange or offering that they have, right? So if we don't understand the importance of establishing our own corporations and our entities, we never put ourselves in a position to level the playing field in the first place.
Yeah.
Because negotiations between businesses is from B to B. Client, you can't go into Walmart and say, you can. I don't want to pay $100 for this microwave. I only got 20. You understand what I'm saying? But if I'm operating as a corporation and the value proposition is there now, we begin to level the playing field.
Right.
When America, quote unquote, got free, what did England do? They came over here and they sent who? The lawyers and the bankers.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Let's collect.
Yeah. So they established the documentation and they established the flow of money. And you can go and research that one of the members, when they met out on Jekyll Island and decided to put the Federal Reserve together, one of the members was quoted saying, if I can control a man's substance, I can control his will.
Mm.
So at the end of the day, I challenge all of us to really be real, think about it, understand who is controlling your substance. Because whoever is controlling your substance is absolutely in control of your will at any given point in time.
Which makes him your master.
Absolutely.
And you know, it was a lot that was said just between y'all two just now. Because, I mean, the whole game is the game of master and slave. That's the whole game. You understand me? Is that I always talk about there's no degrees to slavery. If someone controls your will, you're a slave.
You ain't no almost a
Yeah,
slave or
no.
less a slave.
But and this
You're
is
a
my
slave.
biggest thing when it comes to debt, Keys. You tag me right up on in here. Because everybody talk about using OPM, using other people's money, and I get like, leveraging the bank and understanding them and using them as a partner. But a lot of people don't think of the bank as a partner. Like, I'm coming to the table. What you gonna give me bank rate? You gonna give me this because of the type of whatever I have. You going to the bank like they're superior. You going to the bank needing them.
Right.
Like, in order for your life to operate, you need them to give you a loan. You need them to give you a credit card. Somebody just shot me a text yesterday, and somebody I went to college with. He's like, bro, why these people not giving me loans? I said, bro, you asking the wrong person. I ain't never took out one. And when it comes to that, you talk about controlling yourself. You talk about controlling these things. When we talk about master, you got to look at the system that we in. The system that we in is controlled by the Federal Reserve, which was created on Jekyll Island. Y'all need to go read the book called Jekyll Island, which was created on Jekyll Island that literally gave the keys to America to a bank that is a private institution. This entire, even the World Bank controls every single country there is. So when you look at banks, for an example, the moment that I subjugate my existence, my income, my business, my lifestyle, my travel, my assets, and all of it is dependent upon the bank saying yes or no, you are not a free man. You are not a free woman. You are, what's that movie with a Django? And Samuel Jackson saw Jamie Foxx riding on that horse. He said, what that down there you doing on that there? And all you are somebody, you're enslaved just riding a good horse. You're enslaved just in this nice house that master bought from you. But true freedom for me, and that I believe BWO really should understand for the family of BWO, is that true freedom is getting back to what's naturally ours. Our time, like you were saying, our vessels, like you were saying, and the resources that we naturally have access to, our subconscious mind, our heaven. Yeah. And so understanding that, like Keys always talks about, understanding that, it brings us back to the very essence of who we are as gods, or growing to be gods, because now I can truly make decisions based upon me, not based upon if I got to go talk to Mr. J.P. Morgan and all of his family and associates in order for me to be able to move some shit.
And you talk about our true nature of being gods. We fall short in that area because we spend so much of our time seeking outwardly what is already inside of us. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? The God is already within us because he put us here. You understand what I'm saying? He didn't birth us in this realm to go look for him anywhere else inside of us. You understand what I'm saying? When we talk about being a God and understand who we are and living a life stress-free. Let's just talk about stress for a minute. What is stress? You become stressed when what's inside of you is not being reflected outside of you. Mm-hmm. Now you are in dissonance. Now you are in disconnected. Now you experience dis-ease because the things that you already possess, the God in you, is not being reflected in the things that you see outwardly in this realm.
Yeah. Right.
So understanding how do we get back to what's already in us. Right. When we talk about wealth, when we talk about freeing ourselves from slavery and no longer being a slave, it's about taking control of our vessel, our time, our mind. I like to keep things simple. Ask yourself, Ask yourself these 3 simple questions. Currently today, who is your vessel committed to? What are the things that your mind is committed to?
Bro.
Your time, where is your time currently committed to? And that'll give you the foundation and understanding of where you need to go. When we start talking about the Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the writings of Buddha, and we start, let's just say the Bible, for example. We talk about sin. We so caught up in this indoctrination and education of right and wrong. But if you look at the word sin in the root of it in the Hebrew language, sin just simply means off target. So if we're not on target, we're living a life of sin. It's not about right or wrong. Right or wrong is a matter of perspective.
Yep.
So how can we get back to living our lives or living a life that is on target?
Yeah, I'm laughing. I was just having this conversation with my younger brother today. It's like ditto to the conversation. Yeah. But, you know, and that's what we get to this ultimate point, right? Living above the stress, anxiety, depression, the suicide, right, of the world. You get to a place of actualization. You understand me? To where you can actually use your imagination. It's probably the most underrated tool that we have that we don't use because we limited by our circumstances, but we can be freed by our vision. But it requires you to think, not be based on the resources that you have. Oh, I ain't got enough money, I can't think about this. No, when you think and your mind works, you can say be and it is, as my brother the next book title coming out. You know what I'm talking? Make sure y'all get that.
Little plug in.
But it's very important. The way I know my mind is working, the way I know any other man's mind is working is when they say and it be.
Yeah.
If you say you go do something and you don't do it, that's not an act of manhood. You're not being a man at that point. So that godliness, how do I know that that works? Is that when I have a vision and then I live out that vision. Like I say, okay, as you talked about the reflecting the inward,
Yeah.
like when I have a precept and then it becomes a concept that I can turn into an institution, I can say I'm being God.
And I quote it all the time when I started to transition and change my life. I read this book by Dr. Miles Monroe, and this was 13, 14 years ago. And one of the things that still stick with me to this day is Miles Monroe said, God is such a powerful God that he wouldn't even allow you to think it if it was impossible, right? And when we start talking about using our imagination, we think about this fairy tale impossible, right? And again, we've been miseducated and misled on what it means to use our imagination.
Absolutely.
When let's just break down imagination. Imagination, image of a nation. What is the nation that you can envision or you can see in your mind?
That's good.
And the fact that I have an image of a nation inside of me is all the evidence enough that I have everything that I need in order to experience and allow everybody around me to experience it as well.
Ben, let me ask you something real quick, brother Ben, because speaking of the book Be and It Is, and you've lived your entire life with this and even documented. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna pay my rent, but I'm just gonna do what I gotta do, and all of a sudden it came. So talk about this constant living in this space of the unknown and believing that something's gonna happen. And what's your thought process in dealing with that?
For me, like Chris said, man, everything I believe is within. And I always give the example to make it plain. Everything that we see right now was in the womb of somebody's mind. So these tables, this iPad, these lights, these cameras, this cell phone, a laptop that you may be watching us through was first in somebody's mind. And I know that, from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that God is a being of force and power. And that force and power that dwells within you or anybody else that can make it happen, I know that it can dwell in me and that it does dwell in me too to make it happen. I just have to do the protocol, go back to Dr. Wesley Black God protocol, just to make it happen and bring it into existence. So for me, honestly, when I'm in a position where it looks unfortunate or the underdog, that's really when I can prove that God is real. See, we talk about I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Well, prove it. Get in a situation where it looks like it's impossible. Get in a situation where it looks unfortunate. Say you're going to do something and make it actually happen. That proves that you have a will inside, a desire inside. because I believe that will inside is his shared power with us. If God is able to say, hey, I can say be and it is and make it happen, why can't I do the same thing if I'm his child? If it says in John 14:12, those who believe can do the things that I'm doing even greater, because shoot, I'm going to the Father. Well, what was he doing? He's giving sight to the blind. He's making the deaf hear. He's making the dumb speak. He's doing these miracles per se. So if he walking on water, I don't look at that as somebody literally walking on water, but to me, that's like somebody doing the impossible, somebody doing what the average person can't do, because Peter was able to do it as well. But when Peter started to sink is when he started to get a little bit afraid, when he got a little bit distracted. He wasn't what? On target. So if he wasn't on his target, if he didn't have his goal in mind and that wasn't in him to the point to where the fear that he had wouldn't be able to overcome what he was able to do, then shoot, he lost the power that Jesus had. So when I look at Jesus, or the ability that Jesus had, or any other prophet or messenger had, to me, they are a prototype of what can happen for us. So to me, I look at my life as a book. I look at my life as a story. Every story, great story, has what you call a protagonist. You know, whenever you're looking at a drama series, a lot of people are into this drama series because, you know, somebody may die. Somebody is running after him. When you look at the movie Taken, you know, Taken has a mission. Man, I got to go get my daughter back. So when you look at that and you start to think about your life like that, that's how I look at it. This is why I document when I'm staying in one room. I document when I'm broken down on the highway, because I know in the end I have a story to tell, and it goes back to what Key's saying. It proves that you are a God. You have that ability to say be and it is, and you exercising that force and power. So that's how I look at it.
And you know, to draw parallels to the story of Peter and to us four at the BWO is all four of us have been successful in our own right. Peter had to be a man of great faith already to even be in the company of Jesus Christ, right? But guess what? What was required of Peter to walk on water is not the same level of faith that was required to get him walking step by step. So here at BWO, all of us have been successful in our own right. All of us have made $1 million individually or at some point in time. And I know I get on all three of y'all nerves to some degree, you know, in some aspects, but it's only because I enter into this partnership and this collective agreement with y'all because I already had the vision and the understanding of building a $1 billion company. I didn't agree to BWO for 50 million or 100 million or 500 million. So guess what? I'm okay with saying shit to Jake, to being the keys that might rub y'all the wrong way or whatever the case might be, because what's going to be required of us to do and accomplish the things that I know we capable of doing is going to require us to be shaken up and pressed out something different than what was required and what was shaken out and pressed to get us here amongst each other in the first place. And that's the same thing with Peter walking out on water. It was a different level of faith required of him in order for him to step outside of that boat and walk on water, opposed to the level of faith that was required for him to get step by step with Jesus Christ on a regular basis in the first place.
What are you doing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon at Topgolf?
What you mean what I'm doing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon at 1 o'clock? Listen, let me tell you something. Brother Ben taught me skill sets that you can learn too as well on how to take what I've learned in all of my business experiences online, and I can just use it from my phone. Matter of fact, I've created multiple seven-figure companies just from my phone alone because of what that brother showed. So show that brother right there. Now come back to me. That brother has literally showed me exactly how to take what I've learned in the offline world and how to take it online. But if you click the link below, you can learn the 50 ways that you can be able to make money, so you can take advantage of the very same thing he taught me, so you can take your life to the next level. So I'm gonna get back to what I'm doing, making money online.
And the faith has to be, it has to be tested.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you don't know how much faith you truly have until you actually have been tested. And going to your point about you know, agitating a little bit, when you look at a washing machine, the clothes aren't getting clean just because of the washer alone. The clothes is getting clean because there's something called an agitator in the middle of the washer.
Absolutely.
So when these things are rubbing against this agitator or the clothes are friction against each other, that's actually what's actually cleaning the clothes. The soap rubbing together with the clothes together. So if we don't challenge each other and pull out of each other and put goals out there that maybe we never hit before, we'll never know what our true potential is. And symbolically wise, we'll never know if we could truly walk on water, okay, get to $1 billion unless we are forced to, step outside the boat.
I probably use the less Bible quotes as anybody, but I'm gonna go ahead and use a little.
Let's see what you got.
The analogy of Noah, right? Because Noah had to go through many challenges, right? He was told about a great flood, something to be. And as he was building, everybody thought he was crazy. You understand me? Like, because they couldn't see it. They didn't hear the message. They couldn't see the vision.
Yeah.
You understand me? And he had to build this ark for his family, this boat that would get him across the water during the times when the great flood would come. And a lot of people, and just people in general, don't embrace the ark, right? The ark is the dark. That's the darkness, right? But you have to go through the darkness in order to be able to build that boat. And in Hebrew, they say that represents the presence of God. You understand me? The ark. And so that darkness is that challenge. It is that stress. It is that agitation. It is when you don't want to go through. It is the pain, the emotions, the feelings. You understand me? It's the oppression that we go through on a daily basis. But that allows us to understand, you understand me, our ability to get past it. Because if you can go through the darkness, that's when you become a God. Dr. Wesley gave a great analogy. We were sitting one time in Detroit. And he said that if you go through a snake pit, and the snake is a representation of that darkness. Mm-hmm. You understand me? You go through this dark tunnel, the trials, the tribulations of snakes, the death valley. And you come out on the other side, then that qualifies you to be a God. You went through that training. You went through that qualification. You go through that same pit, no snakes in there. You walk out on the other side, there was no training, no qualification. You're not a God because you did that. You went through all ease, right? And people are afraid of the affliction, the confliction, you understand me, that comes along with the growth in being, right? To where you can say, oh, I know the presence of God was here because I went through the darkness. You understand me? I had to go through that stress. That self-created God had to go through that stress of bringing self into light. So without that stress, without the conflict, without the communication, without the issues, then how do you even know that God is present, that you're building something that's worth, you understand me, the work that's being put in? Because everybody doesn't have to see the vision, but everybody got to continue to put in work. If everybody would have helped Noah, they didn't have to see the vision, but everybody would have been helped by the ark being built. Yeah. You understand me? So for me, it's like faith is belief in the unseen. You understand me? So as you're going through that darkness, you can't see, but you continue to have belief. You understand me? And as you continue to believe in yourself, you don't have to believe in us. Believe in yourself and your ability to have discernment and make the right decisions. Believe in your ability to say this education is right for me because this is exactly what I need. Are you smart enough to make the right decisions for yourself? Yeah. Are you smart enough to go take those classes and modules, to listen, to sit your ass down when you don't want to, when you want to be out doing something completely away from your goals and your vision, but you say, you know what, nah, even though this agitates me, even though I don't feel like being here, I feel alone, you keep going through that darkness because you know what's coming. So you build your ark for that day, you understand me, that flood come and you can get on the other side. How was that?
That was good.
That was pretty good.
And it really boiled down to just understanding and living a life of purpose. Because, again, God already blessed us with everything that we need in order to fulfill our God-given purpose.
Absolutely.
Here, right? So, at the end of the day, we really need, once you understand how God operates, understanding that vision is a function of the eyes. Sight is a function of the eyes, and vision is a function of the heart. And you being in touch and in tune with your own heart and purpose, the walk on a daily basis becomes easy, right? The Bible tells us no weapon formed against us shall prosper. He didn't say that they wouldn't be formed, right? At the end of the day, the only thing that I need to know that God is true is him waking me up in the morning.
Factors.
Because the fact that God woke me up in this morning is him extending his highest gratitude and mercy to us in the first place, because we still have an opportunity for fulfill in the moment the things that he placed in our heart from the get-go.
You know,
So I don't need motivation. I don't need to have a certain feeling. I don't need the support of my mama, brother, sister, whatever the case might be. I need to understand that I was put here to fulfill his purpose for my life in the first place. The fact that I woke up this morning, I understand that this is him giving me and extending his grace and mercy over me. I don't give a damn what happened during the day. I'm locked in and focused onto the things in my heart and the vision that he planted inside of me.
Even day to day is an illusion.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, you trap yourself into thinking of life in 24-hour increments. And it messes you up because you're not thinking, number one, for the average person that's had more good times than bad.
Absolutely.
It's just that we become emotionally connected to the bad times and they get into our long-term memory.
Yep.
You understand me? And that's how we judge our lives.
Because we only remember things that we have an emotional connection to.
Absolutely.
Whether it be good or bad. So when we go through a traumatic experience, those things form us and find a way to put disease inside of us.
Absolutely.
Because we constantly give attention to those things.
And it's the way that we judge them. Because
Absolutely.
you can go into your past and look at an event that you once thought was traumatic and realize it was a blessing. You understand me? But it requires you to perceive it differently. So you have to have a different sight on your past, and it's something that everybody should do. To go into your past life and perceive things differently. You can change your past that way.
Absolutely.
You understand me? Otherwise, they stuck with that energy in you. You may be like, I can go back in school and think about a time that I got a bad grade, and really, I was preparing myself for the life that I'm leading today by being rebellious against the institution that was trying to train me to think a certain way. You understand me? But I kept my mind until adulthood, which allowed me to now produce the life that I want. But if I judge myself by the grading and scaling of becoming a worker for somebody else, and that becomes my way of measuring my intelligence, then I never have a true metric of my own value.
And I like, again, y'all know I like to keep things simple. When we talk about healing is nothing more than changing your relationship with the things that have hurt you. You understand what I'm saying? So you can't go back and change whatever hurt you, whatever disappointed you, whatever let you down. You can't go back and change those things because why? They already happened. It's in the past. It already happened, right? And we can only do what? Live and dwell in the moment. But in order for me to heal, I have to change my relationship and my perspective with the very thing that hurt me. I don't have to forget it. I have to change. I have to choose to change the relationship that I had or have with the very things that hurt me. That is healing. Healing is not making it go away, not wishing it never happened, or going back and saying, I should have did this different, whatever. I have to choose to change the current relationship that I have with the very things that hurt me at some point or another.
And you're not who you was, you're who you are.
Absolutely.
And whoever you are, that's you in the present moment. But that does require, as you said, you got to change the relationship with the things that cause you understand, to be in conflict with your past self. Because as you go higher, you will always be in conflict with your lower. Yeah. You understand me? And then you go judge yourself even more. That's the self-accusing God.
I think that there's a couple of things that I thought about while y'all were talking. And I was just kind of going through my scriptures in my head. Like what? And it brings me to something. I'm gonna go to the scripture in a second, but a lot of us talk about how some people believe in reincarnations and other people don't. But if you really think about our lives, we all have been reincarnated many times over again, just in the life that we've lived today. If you are the same person today that you were yesterday, you have failed the test of the shedding of the skin, like you were talking about, and becoming a newer or better version of yourself. And it reminds me of James 1:2 in the Bible. It says that we should consider it joy to go through trials and tribulations. It's because those trials and tribulations strengthen our faith, and it endures our faith to make our faith stronger and help us to become more patient. And when I think about faith, and you brought it up, of faith, and for me, how I think about faith is to believe that it's already there and to work as if it's already done. See, if I truly believe in my being, it is. and I say, and I wrote it down on a paper, that this is going to happen or this is going to pass, I have to now operate in that big God energy to bring that into fruition. Because God has never been a liar. We have been the ones who have broke the contract. So when we write that goal or that what we want to accomplish on paper, now it's in communication. That's why the word of God says to write it down and make it plain so that those who see it can run with it. If you think about contractually in a court of law, if it's not written down, it's he said, she said. That's why everything has to be done in contract. So when I write something down, I am now taking the spiritual into the physical. When I do that, now I'm in contract with God. Now my faith is to believe it's already there and work as if it's already done. If I believe what I wrote is already done, I believe in the big God energy that I have, that means that time is the only thing that is stopping me from getting to what my new version of me is going to be versus where I am. And that lets me know that this version of me just has to catch up to what that version is going to have to be in order to realize these goals in my life, which means that I'm going to have to go through certain trials and tribulations that's going to make me strong enough to be able to endure holding that type of weight or that type of mantle. And it just made me all of this just kind of make sense, because even if you look at nature in itself and you just look at something as simple as a tree, if a tree never endures wind or tough times of the weather, the roots won't dig deep enough to sustain or hold up the tree when trials and tribulations come. And I always give this analogy. When a tree breaks ground, the most beneficial thing to that tree, of course you got the sun, of course you got water, of course you got the soil, but the most beneficial piece to that tree is the wind. Because anytime the wind moves those limbs and moves that tree, y'all know in the beginning when a tree breaks ground, it's just getting beat up. That tree flailing all in the wind. But every time that wind hits that tree and hits those branches, it signals to the roots to dig deeper. And when the roots begin to dig deeper, that's why the roots are oftentimes a lot larger, 2 times, 4 times larger than the actual tree, because the roots substance have to be so deep in its source, the soil. And so now we're going through this tough and trying times. All of us are saying, okay, Keys, okay, Chris, okay, Ben, I understand that I have to endure trying times, but I've been enduring them. How come it's not happening for me? Now you have to question, where are your roots digging deep into? What source is it digging deep into? And is the soil that you're digging into, does it have enough nutrients in order to provide you the type of nutrients needed for you to continue to grow? Which is why environment is important. This is why exposure is important, because you become what you're exposed to and you grow based on your environment. And so if I understand that's important, now this is what makes BWO so important to the black community, or to anybody that wants to tap in that understands our culture. Because not only are we showing you what your life can be, but we're providing the environment for you to be able to grow and be nourished in with brothers who have been down the same road in some form or fashion, that have endured things. And we're doing live, we're going through our own arduous process in the recreation of ourselves on the road to $1 billion. So people can see how we deal with each other, how we go through trying times live, how we deal with frustrating moments. And sometimes you're so frustrated, you're so damn mad, you just don't answer the phone for the day. But how do y'all get back together? How do y'all refocus? How do y'all see the best version of each other to continue to build toward $1 billion? So in actuality, the people that are walking with us on their journey to finding the best version of themselves, they're walking with us as we find the next best version of ourselves. And they can actually see what this process looks like live and in the flesh, which to me is why BWO is the most important piece.
Which takes me to my next point, what I wanted to veggie back off of, is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, you never have to condemn a dirty glass, just put a clean one next to it. And I believe we often say, scripture says, we are destroyed from a lack of knowledge, and then we stop it right there. But there's another part to it, and it talks about because we rejected the knowledge. And so Master Father Muhammad said, accept your own and be yourself. What is yourself? Yourself is someone who is righteous and one who submits their will to do the will of God. Which takes me to the point when we was talking about Noah. Now, Noah's building an ark. If you don't have an intimate relationship with God and understand who you are and your purpose, when you building an ark, talking about some flood, and you building it in a desert, oh, you got to have some patience. If you don't have that intimate relationship with God, if you don't have that security and you don't have that desire and will, you will stop. Because when people begin to mock you, nigga, you building an ark in a nigga in the desert. That's kind of like what we doing with BWO.
Yeah,
These are white men saying, hey, you ain't gonna have no wealth in 2053. And we saying, yeah, we are. And not only did he have to go through building an ark in the desert, he had to deal with those who rejected him. We've been rejected every day. He had family members who say, hey man, I ain't finna get in no ark. I'm not finna do that. And they had to be left. And he wanted them to be on there, but they had to be left because they didn't believe. So when I look at scripture, I'm not just looking at something that happened 2,000 years ago.
That's right.
I'm looking at scripture,
living
a
word.
script that we are walking through like a movie.
Yeah.
Denzel reads the script and he walks through it. We walking through that today. And anybody who has a goal, not just us, you're going to have to go through some of that if you building an ark inside of a desert when somebody never done it before. Nobody ever seen it coming before. When we talking about you can build your own private bank. When we talking about you can make $1 million. When we talk about how we about to go to $1 billion, ain't nobody never seen no 5 black young men come together and build no $1 billion. So in other words, we are building an ark in the desert, but he had to have so much faith. He had to submit his will so much that no matter what came against him, no matter if his own children, no matter if his own family mocked him, he had to keep on building. Those who got on the ark had some success, they got over to the other side. And those who didn't, unfortunately, they was in an unfortunate situation and they drowned in a flood. So are you going to drown in the flood or are you going to get on this ark?
And that boiled down to us understanding our roles and our purpose as well. And I know what keeps us focused and in alignment despite the trials and the tribulations that we have been through and will continue to go through, is us on a daily basis choosing passion over comfort. Understanding that, talk about the analogy with a tree in the roots. You don't see the roots coming above ground and peeking up and
I want to be above ground.
What's going on.
Yeah, that's good.
You understand what I'm saying? When the wind is battering the little branch and it's signaling the roots to dig deeper, the roots don't just say, oh, well, nigga, you just deal with that. No, we got the roots, they do what? They dig deeper, right? And do what? And allows the tree to continue to grow. And when we start talking about a process, everything is a process. We look at a tree being rooted and the branches and the base of the tree growing up and the branches are sprouting out. But what's the last thing to grow on a tree?
Fruit.
The fruit. You understand what I'm saying? So
Best part of the tree.
Boy, we closing with this one.
Yeah,
Bring it home, Deacon.
Yeah, the best part of the tree. So we have to first be able to be committed to digging our roots as deep as they need to be in order for our tree to grow to produce the fruits that we desire to produce.
And stand against
That's
the wind.
good. That's good.
Most of us want to plant a seed and pick from the tree the very next day.
Come on.
And that gets to the point of
Keys, you started this.
an organization. An organization's health can be measured by the health of its members. You understand me? That if I join your organization, will I be as you are? Will I get the same results? And so when we produce the fruits, they have to have the same thing that was able to produce the tree. You understand me? So as we produce the members, they have to have the seeds. They have to have the nutrients. They go into their own soil and reproduce the process because we creating other leaders.
Yep.
You understand? We're not creating a model of dependency. We creating
Or comparison or competition.
or comparison, competition, complacency. You understand me? It's about collaboration, because that's how we make this thing work. That each one of us has something the other don't has that brings it to the table. It's a frequency of colors that add to creating the pure light. You have a definition of sin before. What was that definition?
What, a function of the eyes?
Sin.
Oh, sin, off target.
Off target.
Yeah.
He said function of, like, I don't know what
Oh,
sin
yeah.
is.
No,
He said like the function of the
I can see.
He said, brother, I can see now.
No, but so sin is being off target. In the Quran, I'm gonna bring up a Quran verse and we go.
There you go.
It's Ramadan. It's only right. Surah 19, verse 19. You understand me? It is the first mention of Jesus being born, right? And it speaks to say that talks about Mary having a pure boy, right? And I think about that, and I think about what that purity means. You understand me? When something is pure, not contaminated, not thrown into any other substances that make it other than what it's supposed to be, is natural, right? And we talk about Messianic energy all the time. We see Messianic figures die, such as the late great Nip. You understand me? DMX had Messianic energy. And, when something you talk about crystallize and it becomes, that Christ-like figure, when you're not off target and you're moving accordingly to your will and your nature, that's when you're pure. You understand me? That everything you do comes from pure intention. You have a pure heart. You understand me? Your will is aligned with Allah's will. It's aligned with God's will. You understand me? With everything that you do. And it becomes a frequency, a consistency of everything in your life. That's why I always say what you do frequently becomes your frequency. Right. Because your frequency is what crystallizes something. When you look at a crystal and it grows into the shape that it's in, that's an undisrupted frequency that allowed it to grow into that quartz shape, that crystalline shape, being trapped in geometrical frequency. So if you're constantly thinking of good, then you're on a good frequency. If you're constantly working in your target, you're not allowing no one to bring sin to your life, because they couldn't get Jesus to sin. They ain't gonna get him to lie. They ain't gonna get him to gamble. They ain't gonna get him in the whorehouse. They ain't gonna get him in those things. He stayed pure to his mission. He stayed on target. And what we trying to get our people, because we see people get focused, but then they lose focus. Right. We got a term in the nation called straddling the fence, right? And it's the worst thing you can ever do, because once you start to straddle the fence, you got one leg in, one leg out, and you become your judge. You become the one that makes decisions that put yourself in hell, right? Because you got God judging the devil. You understand me? He telling you, no, that ain't right. You know you off target. You know you ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing. You know you weren't supposed to be there. You know you weren't supposed to steal that. You know you weren't supposed to say that. So you in constant conflict with yourself at all times. And see, there's nothing wrong with going through the darkness, but you got to actually come out of it and go into the light. But once you straddling the fence, you just constantly in the darkness.
Listen.
You understand me? So when we talk about the energy that I think we all possess, is the consistency on a daily basis to constantly think about that target and that goal and that agenda that we want for our people. And when you see somebody, I don't care, you put them in any interview, any circumstance, any place you go, and they always on target. Mm-hmm. When they speak, they always talking with that same energy. Mm-hmm. No matter where they at, they bring their energy, their atmosphere, their circumstances to the room, and they put everybody else on target. And that's what that Christ-like energy is putting the world on target, because environment is stronger than nature. So when people are off target from their environment, they no longer in their pure substance. So when we can get the rest of our community to crystallize their energy and concentrate their passion, then that's the manifestation of that 2053 goal. That's when we saying, okay, well, the target is the number one, do for self, get your mind right, fast, get your discipline right. You understand me? What are the things I should be focused on? All right, here are your targets. Without giving our people a target, we leave them in sin. Yeah. In the rest of the world, the devil's job is to keep you distracted. Yeah. The mind of God requires focus. Without focus, you cannot produce.
So that bridge gives us a target as to where we building, where we going. We just ain't out here as a collective, rah-rahing in the streets, hip-hop talking, screaming, shouting, raising our hands to the sky and all of that. We are building a bridge because we have a target. We understand the destination and the route we must take in order to get there.
Right. And see, I wanted to just finish this last little bit of the analogy just to wrap it into a bow. You know what I'm saying? But I think about Mary, right? Because Mary, to me, represents the womb, right? And it represents that mind. And when you have that thought, because you can take Jesus as a thought, you understand me, that each one of us has in our mind. And here you have a pure thought, right? A man without a target is sinning. A man without a target, he don't have purpose. He has to have some trajectory, right, that he is going towards. And your thoughts, they start off so pure. You have an idea of what you want. And then society robs you, takes you off your target, the things that you want to produce. So they never get birthed into reality. They're never actually born, right? And our people, We know how to concentrate and get money, but we don't have a target for it, right? And that's always been the issue, is that we have a spending power, but not an investment dollar, right? So the moment that we're able to have a target, then we can change that $1.3 trillion spending power into $1.3 trillion of investment power. Because now we know what industries to put into. We have targets for our skill sets. We're not just saying don't work for the white man. We're teaching you how to work for yourself. You understand me? We're not just saying don't go to college. We're teaching you what skill sets that you're going to need that's going to be invaluable for the future against artificial intelligence and technological disruptions. We're not just saying build wealth. We're saying that once you have the wealth, here is your plan towards wealth. This is how you get your family together. Once you have your family together, here's your next steps that you need to do. By putting our people on target, it's allowing everybody to live back within a purity of thought, because what society is going to do? Entertain you. Once you're entertained, you are distracted. You understand me? And once you are distracted, you're not focused, you have no concentration. So any idea that you try to bring to life will be snuffed out. And if you read that book, what was it? Interview with the Devil. I forget. Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. His whole goal was to keep the man distracted. Yeah. Whether it was the weed, the liquor, whether it was the TV shows. Every time he got focused, nope, I need something else that's gonna take you away from your will. I need you wanting things that are not good for you.
And think about that. I know you got some of mine, but think about that. We got $1.3 trillion of spending power or buying power, and yet they say by 2053 we're gonna have a $0 net worth. So again, being logical, the only thing that is clearly taking place is that we're spending at a rate higher than we're earning, right? So we got 1.3 trillion spending power, but we spending 2 trillion. Right. You understand what I'm saying? And also our lack of understanding the cold game that they done put together in the first place. Because guess what?
It's cold for sure.
This $1.3 trillion, our education, these six-figure salaries, these degrees are nothing but pacifiers, right? And shackles to our freedom, right? And I say that from the standpoint of they say, okay, well, we can keep these niggas busy by giving them $1.3 trillion, and guess what? They gonna turn around and spend $2 trillion of it right back to them.
Matter of fact, they want us to have money because it represents us spending with them.
So thinking, and so again, being I like to keep it simple and being logical, right? That is slavery, right? And going back to this 1.3 trillion and us spending 2 trillion, right? And us understanding what money is, the evidence of the transfer of energy. If I only had $1.3 trillion in my pocket and I give brother Ben X $2 trillion, I have committed some of my time, my energy, and my mind in the future to being in the present moment.
Labor, savory.
So how can I pass something to my child or my grandchild if I have not even possessed it in the first place?
You've already bonded your energy to build their world.
I've already committed my energy to something else.
Chris, what's crazy, bro? I did a post on that where I said on IG, I said we borrow from we enslave our future from borrowing from our future to have it today. Yeah. And so we enslave our future selves from borrowing from it to have what we haven't earned today. Yeah. And it takes me back about being on target and off target. You talked about Christ, Jesus not, he was pure because he was on target. And imagine somebody from birth being on target the entire way. And you talk about the all of the miracles that they said, that he had and all this other stuff. Imagine those same type of abilities we would have if we stay on target. Because that's what births, right? We look at our lives now, they're all manifestations of us staying on target.
All our regrets are when we got off target. That's all.
But watch this though, Chris. But if you look at target, that means that we have to have a destination. We talk about the bridge, right?
Right.
But you cannot spell destination without first spelling destiny inside of it.
Right.
So a lot of us are trying to find our destiny, what we are supposed to be doing. We're chasing everybody else. It's because we don't know our destination. When I know where my destination, where I am going, it is much easier for me to identify God's destiny for me when I know exactly where we're going.
And we can also, and I don't think,
I'm gonna find it.
I don't think the speakers give enough attention to the birth of Christ also being a great example of generational wealth being passed down in the physical realm.
Break that down, brother.
We talk about Christ. We talk about Christ being what? Pure, right? You spoke about Mary being pure. What we don't give attention to is that Joseph
Ruth
had to be a pure man himself. Because I don't know about y'all. Us three are married, but I'm not. If my wife come up talking about she pregnant and I know I ain't laid down and slept with her, we got a whole issue.
So she can't say it was God.
Yeah, exactly.
Ain't no God.
Nah,
Yeah.
you understand what I'm saying? So, but to put it in perspective, Joseph had to be a pure man and understanding the passion and vision as well in order for Christ to be pure himself. So yes, he came out of the vessel of Mary, but the seed was planted by his father, right? So the purity of Christ coming into existence in form was pureness in the parents being passed down to the generation in the expression of Jesus Christ and his word and message to the people.
And he's 32 generations from David. Like people, we talk about legacy. So when you look up the lineage of men that came from that bloodline,
right,
you begin to see a pure example of what you were saying generational wealth looks like, not just from a purity standpoint, but from a dominance, from that godlike nature. You talk about prominent men that are pointed out and pulled out in the word of God, all came from that lineage.
Right.
So you imagine all of us have that ability to kickstart that for our generations if we too have that same understanding in mind, because all of them had the same destination. That's why it's easier for them to pick up where their father left off, because they all had the same one, chasing after their father's own heart, chasing after their father's own heart.
Yep.
And when Jesus came, he said, I'm a man. You know, he was talking about I'm for the Father. I don't know who birthed me, who married Joseph, bro. I'm about my father's business.
Right.
And that's the same thing that David was talking about. So it's easier for our children, for our family, for our spouses, for everyone that comes after us to be able to stay on target if somebody got to sacrifice and be on target to create the target for people
And
to
see,
follow.
I want to specify too, because, you know, evolution is building upon pre-existing things, making it better, right? A lot of people think that they on target. They say, well, I got my job, you know what I mean? I got my college degree, I started my family, like we got our plan. But what they don't realize is you got to understand whose target you're working for. Right? Now, if we evolve upon the principles of Marcus Garvey and Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Noble Drew Ali, then of course we can say, okay, I'm on target to build our world. But if you go through their institutions, right, you get their information, you are completely immersed in their world, you may be on target only to build their world. You understand me? You're not on target to build our world. And this is the thing that we got to understand the most, because people think about their lives and be like, well, I'm on point. I got everything going. But in your ideology and your ideas that you're evolving upon has nothing to do with the birth of our nation.
You understand in their world.
You just building their world, and they're utilizing your labor, your energy.
Our gifts, our talents.
We created America, right? America was built off black bodies. You can go back into every historical point to find relevance and fact right there.
There's even,
you understand me?
There's
Everything
even proof
points
and
back
stats
to that.
on that, Keys, how they even had insurance on our bodies.
Yeah, factors.
And I talk about that in the
Chapter
gym.
19 in the Jim Crow.
Come on, my guy.
You think I'm going to forget the
There
19?
you go, there you go.
know, sir?
And so even in the Jim Crow, not only did they make money off of our labor, they also made money off of the death and dismemberment of our bodies.
Yeah.
So you talking about that continues. So they for people to say like, no, bro, everything was built. I just wanted to add that.
No, we was
that
their first
citation in there.
opportunity. If you're a white man that's coming to settle in the Americas, you can get into the industries, but you're going to have to use physical labor, right? You, your sons, your wife going to have to work. Or you can use black bodies. Right? So the black bodies, you get a loan from a bank, then you go get you some bodies. You understand me? They're going to work for you. The more increased labor, the more effectiveness you can have. The more industry you can create, the more money you can have. So when they first seen black bodies, it was an opportunity for them to build wealth. So it made all the sense in the world for them to come over here, get as many slaves as possible and build. And today it's the same thing. When they see young black minds and they look at these hip hop corporations, that the record labels that own, that's their opportunity to use your labor and your energy to build their world. It's the same thing repeated.
And guess what? And as much as we know the travesties or somewhat know the travesty of slavery and different things of that nature, the root of it boils down to our mentality, us understanding our God-given purpose. Because when we were taking control over, and even now as slaves, we become slaves because of one or two reasons. A dream has been sold or a lie has been told.
Come on with it.
Right?
You say that again. You got to say that again for the record.
So what dream have we bought into, or what lie have we been told that we took on as truth? Right? That say, okay, well, I'm going to get in line and I'm going to go with this. And we look at here in 2021, I'm going to get a degree. I'm going to get a 6-figure salary. I'm going to be a VP of a company. I'm going to be
sold
a
a dream,
etc. Right? It's a cold system that they put us to, but it is our own choosing, our own minds that continues to keep us enslaved, because we're holding on to a dream that's been sold to us, or we're believing in a lie that has been told to us.
Right.
Because, like I say, you can't argue with the results. We've been perpetuating the same cycle for over 400 years.
That's a factory.
We got $1.3 trillion of black spending power, but we still in slavery.
Right.
We still enslaved. So we have to address what is it that I believe in? What is it that I'm after? Right? And again, if you're not living a purpose-filled life, or even understand what your purpose is in the first place, you in somebody else's flow.
And you know, I always say that to add on to that, the quickest way to find your purpose is to quit lying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the quickest way. Because the moment you lie, you're off target, right? So it's no way you can get to your purpose if you consistently lie, and that's in the way you live too.
Right, and think about this: our purpose is always in front of us. You understand what I'm saying? And to veggie back off of what you're saying is, the first thing in order for us to get in alignment with our purpose is we have to stop lying to ourselves. What was the first thing God asked Adam after he ate from the tree in the garden? The first thing
How it taste?
Huh? No, he didn't ask him how it tastes. He said, God asked Adam, where are you? Where art thou? You understand what I'm saying? If you don't acknowledge where you are in this place, you can't even position yourself to allow God to help you.
Right.
You can't move into your purpose or your destiny if you don't acknowledge where art thou in this moment.
And you can't determine your value, because usefulness determines your value. So it's like right now in the present moment, if I'm looking at where art thou, I'm here sitting down doing a podcast with my brothers.
Right.
You understand me, for the BWO, right? So only thing I should be focusing on right now is how I can bring value to this moment. Right? And how my skills, gifts, talents, knowledge, education, speaking abilities can add to this cipher, right? Somebody right now is somewhere trying to figure out their purpose, but it has nothing to do with the current moment that they in and what's in front of them, right? And so for me, I like that idea, that because for a person to find their purpose, find how you can be useful right now.
Yeah.
You understand me? To yourself, to others. Like service to others is the most unappreciated dedication that one can commit their lives to. That's leadership. Service to your flock, your fellowship, to lead them into a better mind and a better direction. You understand me? So the service that we provide to others is our purpose. This is what we're here for. We can be self-servicing, but why? We already produced ourselves. We here.
Right.
And the last but not least is that I always tell the children, pull out your finger and look at your fingerprint. They always say there's nothing new under the sun, but that's a lie. Because every time a new person is born into the world, somebody new here.
Yeah.
And the fingerprint has created a system to show you it's somebody new here, that there's an individual that has just this fingerprint that nobody else in the world of our entirety in existence has. So I always look at the human being as the greatest design in the world and proof of God. You are proof of a divine intelligence. If you go look in the mirror, the way your eyes work, the way your brain work, your spleen, your heart, your spine, your blood vessels, your cells, the way all of this connected, it is proof of something beyond your own intelligence that you can't comprehend or fathom the beginning or creation of. You don't know how to do it. But it also shows you that great things can be done. You are proof of everything can be done, because the human being is an impossible thing to recreate. You understand me? So once you are the embodiment of possibility, then that means that you should never think an impossible ever again. because every time I look in the mirror, I can see something that's supposed to be considered impossible. But I'm proof of it. Matter of fact, me thinking about it is proof of it. So that's the way I look at life. It's like, I don't know impossible because I am impossible. Yeah. You understand me? Or I am possible. I'm possible. As my brother breaks down. And so that should be a way for every person to look at themselves, number one, as special in a sense. Like your fingerprints regard you as special. This is an NFT, it's not fungible. You can't exchange this for nobody else. You ain't gonna get caught for a crime and they say, no, we're gonna use Jake's fingerprint instead. No. That's just keys right there. Each person that is born has a unique opportunity to pull something out of themselves and give to the world. And the leadership that we do alive, that's not the legacy. It's the leadership that's when we're gone. How are your thoughts, ideas, institutions continuing to lead people in a better direction and add value to the world? That's how you can qualify your purpose and the things that you're doing now to have any real meaning. Do they impact? As my brother Ben X say, impact over income.
And that is a wrap of BWO's first episode of the podcast. Yeah. Listen. That's so fire. I think we should only do the podcast like once a month. Like when we get together, because it's not going to have this same pure type flow. So listen, wherever you're watching it, from your computer, from your phone, please like, share, comment, and tag some people that need to hear this information. But please remember, Black World Order, we're helping you bridge wealth opportunities to take your family's life to the next level. Peace. We'll see you next time.
Tap in with the guys, BWO.